Admiral G1 stood on the bridge of Terra Guardian, looking out at the endless stars. The space station was humanity's pride, floating above Earth like a metal moon. For 300 years, humans had been building colonies on distant planets. They worked quietly, keeping to themselves, and never bothering anyone. G1 was a tall woman with sharp eyes and gray hair. She had been watching over Earth's defenses for 20 years. Today felt different. The sensors showed something coming. Toward Earth, something big. "Admiral," called Captain Minji from her station. "We have ships approaching. Lots of them." G1 turned to look at the main screen. What she saw made her blood run cold. Hundreds of massive ships were coming out of faster-than-light travel near Earth. Each ship was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. "How many?" G1 asked. 237 ships, Admiral. They're not human." The alien ships looked like giant metal sharks. Their hulls were dark gray and covered in weapon ports. They moved in perfect formation, surrounding Earth, like hunters circling their prey. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Communications Officer Sunho. "Put it on screen." The main display changed to show an alien face. The creature had blue skin, 4 eyes, and sharp teeth. When it spoke, the translation computer made its words sound cold and harsh. "Primitive humans of Earth. I am Ambassador, Velkanos of the Great Velkari Empire. Your species has been expanding into space without permission. This ends now." G1 stepped forward. "This is Admiral G1 of Earth Defense. You are in human space. State your business." The alien made a sound like laughter. "Human space? Foolish creature. The Velkari Empire has ruled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. We conquered 12 different species before your world even had cities." On Earth below, Ambassador Tae-hyun was sitting in his office when alarms started ringing. He was a calm man who had spent his life making peace between different groups. Now he was Earth's top diplomat, and aliens were at their door. His assistant rushed in. "Sir, we need you at the Defense Council meeting right away." Tae-hyun ran to the emergency meeting room deep underground. President Kyung was already there, along with Defense Minister Woo Jin and several military leaders. They all looked worried. "What's the situation?" Tae-hyun asked. "Aliens," President Kyung said simply. "They want us to surrender." Back on Terra Guardian, the alien was still talking. "Your pathetic colonies will be dissolved. 30% of your population will serve as workers for the Empire. The rest will follow Velkari law. You have 72 hours to accept." "And if we refuse?" G1 asked. "Then we will take what we want by force. We have done this many times before. No young species has ever resisted the Velkari Empire." The transmission ended. The bridge went quiet except for the soft hum of machines. "Admiral," Minji said quietly, "what do we do?" G1 looked at the alien fleet on her screen. Each ship could probably destroy a human city. Together, they could wipe out every human colony in space. But G1 had a secret that the aliens didn't know about. "Get me a secure line to Dr. Hyun," she said. Dr. Hyun was working in a hidden laboratory deep inside an asteroid. She was a small woman with quick hands and a brilliant mind. For 50 years, she had been leading Project Defiance, humanity's most secret program. "Admiral," Hyun said when the call came through. "I saw the alien ships. Are we moving to Phase 3? "Yes." "How many ships do we have ready?" 37. "Combat vessels, fully armed and tested. The crews have been training for years." G1 smiled for the first time that day. "Good. Keep them hidden until I give the word." The aliens thought humans were weak because they had only seen humanity's peaceful side. Human exploration ships were small and carried no weapons. Human colonies had basic defenses. To the Velkari, humans looked like easy prey. But humans had learned long ago that the galaxy was dangerous. 50 years earlier, human explorers had found the remains of an ancient alien civilization. Their technology was far beyond what humans could build at the time. Instead of using it right away, human scientists had spent decades learning how it worked. Project Defiance was born from that discovery. In secret locations throughout the solar system, humans had built warships using alien technology. They had trained crews and developed new weapons. They had prepared for a war they hoped would never come. Captain Minji was one of the few people who knew about the secret fleet. She had trained on the new ships and knew how powerful they were. The aliens had no idea what humans could really do. "Admiral," she said, "should I contact the colony worlds?" "Yes. Tell them to prepare for evacuation procedures. Make it look like we're getting ready to surrender." On Mars colony, Governor Yuna received the message. She was a tough woman who had helped build the first human cities on Mars. She knew the evacuation order was fake, but she had to make it look real. "Attention all citizens," she announced over the colony's communication system. "We have received orders from Earth to prepare for possible evacuation. This is not a drill. Begin moving to emergency shelters." The colonists were scared, but they trusted their leaders. They had heard stories about alien empires that conquered other worlds. Nobody wanted to become slaves. But some people knew the truth. Commander Soyoung was one of them. She worked for human intelligence and had been preparing for this day for years. Her job was to learn everything possible about alien technology and military tactics. "The Velkari use plasma weapons and energy shields," she told Admiral Ji-won during a secure call. "They're powerful, but we found weaknesses in their designs." "What kind of weaknesses?" "Their shields work on a specific frequency. If we can match that frequency, we can punch right through them. Also, their ships are big but slow. Our fighters should be able to outrun them." Ji-won nodded. Humans had always been good at finding clever solutions to big problems. While the Velkari had conquered through raw power, humans had learned to use their brains. In the asteroid belt, engineer Do-hyun was making final checks on humanity's secret weapons. He had spent his whole career building things that nobody was supposed to know about. The new human warships looked nothing like the peaceful exploration vessels the aliens had seen. These ships were sleek and fast, with armor made from alien materials and weapons powered by fusion reactors. They could accelerate faster than anything in the Velkari fleet and hit targets from incredible distances. "All ships report ready for combat," Do-hyun told his team. "Crews are standing by." The 72-hour deadline was almost up. On Terra Guardian, Admiral Ji-won stood before a camera to record humanity's response to the Velkari ultimatum. "To the Velkari Empire," she said in a clear, strong voice, "humanity rejects your demands. We will not surrender our freedom or our worlds. If you want war, you will have it." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "But know this, you have gravely underestimated what humans are capable of. Withdraw from our space now, and no blood needs to be spilled." The message was sent to the Velkari fleet. Within minutes, alarms started ringing on every alien ship. The response was not what they had expected. Ambassador Velkanos appeared on screen again, his 4 eyes blazing with anger. "Foolish humans, you choose death over wisdom. Your destruction begins now." The Velkari fleet began moving toward Earth. Their massive ships powered up weapons that could level mountains. They had done this many times before to other worlds, but as they approached, something happened that no Velkari commander had ever seen. Space around Earth began to shimmer, and new ships appeared as if from nowhere. Human warships, sleek and deadly, materialized from hidden positions. Admiral Ji-won smiled as she watched her secret fleet take formation. "All ships, this is Terra Guardian. You are weapons-free. Show them what humans can do." The real war was about to begin. President Kyung sat in the emergency bunker deep below the capital city. Around the table were the most important people on Earth. Defense Minister Woo Jin looked at the reports from space. The alien fleet was getting closer. "They think we're weak," Kyung said. "Let's use that against them." Ambassador Tae-hyun nodded. He had been thinking about this moment for years. "We need to buy time for our real fleet to get into position. I suggest we pretend to consider their demands." "Won't that make us look like cowards?" asked General Ji-hoon. "Better to look like cowards and win than to look brave and lose," Tae-hyun replied. "The aliens expect us to surrender. We'll give them what they expect to see." On Terra Guardian, Admiral Ji-won was coordinating the biggest deception in human history. She opened a communication channel to the Velkari fleet. "This is Admiral Ji-won. We need more time to organize the surrender procedures. Our government is still deciding." Ambassador Velkanos appeared on screen. His blue face showed satisfaction. "Wise choice, human. You have 48 additional hours. Use them well. The transmission ended. Jiwan turned to her officers. Phase 2 is now active. Send the signal to all hidden assets. Across the solar system, secret bases came to life. On the dark side of the moon, Commander So-young led a team of intelligence specialists. Their job was to learn everything possible about the Velkari while feeding them false information. We're receiving their communications, So-young told her team. They're using quantum encryption, but we cracked similar codes from the ancient ruins. The Velkari were talking freely because they thought humans were primitive. They discussed their ship positions, their weapons, and their plans. They had no idea that humans were listening to every word. They think our strongest weapons are nuclear missiles, laughed Lieutenant Yuna, who was monitoring alien communications. They don't even know about our plasma cannons. So-young smiled. Let's keep it that way. Send false data through their systems. Make them think our entire fleet is just a few dozen patrol boats. Meanwhile, Dr. Yunbi was working in her xenobiology laboratory. She had pieces of alien technology that human explorers had found over the years. Now she was using them to understand Velkari weaknesses. Their energy shields are impressive, she told her assistant. But they have a critical flaw. The shield generators create a resonance pattern. If we can match that pattern exactly, their shields will collapse. How do we match it? Her assistant asked. We modify our weapons to fire at the same frequency. It's like tuning a musical instrument. Hit the right note and their defenses fall apart. In the asteroid belt, Engineer Do-hyun was putting the finishing touches on humanity's secret fleet. The warships were hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids, invisible to alien sensors. Final systems check complete, he reported to Admiral Ji-won. All 37 ships are ready for combat. The crews are the best we've ever trained. Each human warship was a masterpiece of engineering. They used technology that the aliens thought was impossible for a young species. Faster-than-light engines, quantum computers, and weapons that could punch through any armor. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's newest battleship. He had been training for this moment his entire career. His ship was hidden inside an asteroid that looked like any other space rock. "Sir," called his weapons officer, "we're reading massive energy signatures from the alien fleet. They're powering up their main guns." "Let them," Minho said calmly. "They're about to get the surprise of their lives." On Earth, the government was putting on a show for the aliens. They announced that evacuation ships were being prepared. They held emergency meetings that the Velkari could intercept. Everything was designed to make the aliens believe that humans were preparing to surrender. But the real preparations were happening in secret. General Jahoon was mobilizing ground forces equipped with advanced weapons. Pilot Wu Jin was leading training, exercises for fighter squadrons. Engineer Sang-hyun was installing new defense systems around Earth. The aliens think they know everything about us, President Kyung told his council. They've studied our peaceful exploration ships and our trading posts. They have no idea what we've been building in secret. Defense Minister Wu Jin pulled up a holographic display. Our intelligence shows that the Velkari have conquered hundreds of worlds using the same tactics. They show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and then occupy the planet. It's worked for them for thousands of years. But they've never faced humans before, Tae-hyun said with a smile. Commander So-young was having great success with her information warfare. She had hacked into Velkari communication networks and was feeding them false data about human capabilities. The aliens now believe our total fleet consists of 47 patrol vessels and 12 cargo ships, she reported. They think our strongest weapons are chemical explosives. Perfect, Admiral Ji-won replied. Keep feeding them lies. The longer they underestimate us, the better our chances. Dr. Hyun was coordinating between all the secret projects. Defiance had been her life's work, and now it was time to see if 50 years of preparation would pay off. All research teams report ready, she told the Admiral. Our new weapons have been tested and are more effective than we hoped. Our shield technology is generations ahead of theirs, and our ships are faster and more maneuverable than anything in their fleet. The Velkari continued to believe they were dealing with a primitive species. Their commanders made jokes about human weakness. They planned victory celebrations for after the conquest. They had no idea that every word was being recorded by human intelligence. They're splitting their fleet, observed Captain Minji, who was monitoring alien movements. 2/3 are moving toward our outer colonies. They want to capture them before attacking Earth. That works in our favor, Admiral Jiwan said. Our ships can hit them in smaller groups instead of facing their entire fleet at once. The deadline was approaching. The Velkari expected humanity's final answer within hours. Ambassador Velkanos sent another message to Earth. Time grows short, humans. Submit now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make your species extinct slowly. President Kyung recorded humanity's response personally. He sat in his office, looking calm and determined. People of the Velkari Empire, he began, for 3,000 years you have conquered and enslaved other species. You believe that strength comes from ruling over others. Today, you learn that true strength comes from defending what you love. Paused, looking directly into the camera. Humanity rejects your ultimatum. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not abandon our colonies. And we will not bow to tyranny, no matter how powerful you think you are. The message was broadcast. Across the galaxy, other species that had been conquered by the Velkari heard it and wondered if the humans were brave or just foolish. You have chosen extinction, Ambassador Velkanos replied. Our fleet will demonstrate the price of defying the Empire. The Velkari ships began moving toward human colonies, their weapons charged up, ready to destroy cities and kill millions. But as they approached their targets, something impossible happened. Space around the alien ships began to shimmer. Human warships appeared from nowhere, dropping their stealth fields and revealing themselves for the first time. The secret fleet that the Velkari didn't know existed was now visible. This is Admiral Jiwan to all Velkari vessels. You are trespassing in human space. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. Ambassador Velkanos stared at his sensors in disbelief. The humans had ships that were almost as large as Velkari vessels. Their energy signatures showed advanced technology that shouldn't exist. Impossible, he whispered. Our intelligence said they were primitive. Sir, called his tactical officer, the human ships are moving into attack formation. Their weapons are powering up. For the first time in 3,000 years, a Velkari fleet faced an enemy that might actually be able to fight back. The aliens had expected easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing a species that had been preparing for war longer than they had been alive. All ships, Admiral Jiwan commanded. Weapons free. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity. The real battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first shots of the war came from the Velkari fleet. Their massive ships fired plasma bolts that could melt through asteroid rock. The aliens expected to see human ships explode in brilliant flashes of light. Instead, something incredible happened. The human warships activated energy shields that absorbed the alien fire completely. Blue energy barriers surrounded each human vessel, glowing brighter as they soaked up the Velkari weapons. Impossible! Shouted Ambassador Velkanos from his command ship. Those shields are more advanced than ours. Captain Minho stood calmly on the bridge of the Indomitable as alien fire crashed against his ship's defenses. Weapons, return fire. Target their lead vessel. The Indomitable's main cannon charged up with a sound like thunder. When it fired, a beam of pure energy lanced across space. The Velkari ship's shields flared once and then collapsed completely. The beam punched through their armor like it was paper. Direct hit, reported the weapons officer. Their ship is disabled. Across the battle zone, human ships were proving that 50 years of preparation had been worth it. The Velkari found themselves fighting an enemy they didn't understand. Lieutenant Yuna led the first human fighter squadron into combat. Her small craft was faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. She dove between Velkari ships, dodging, their fire and striking back with precision shots. Phoenix Squadron, form up on me, she called to her pilots. Use pattern Delta 7. The human fighters moved like a swarm of angry bees. They were too small and fast for the big alien ships to target effectively. But their weapons were powerful enough to damage Velkari armor. How are they so fast? Wondered a Velkari commander as human fighters zipped around his ship. The answer was simple. Human ships used gravitational manipulation drives that the aliens had never seen before. They could change direction instantly and accelerate beyond what physics should have allowed. On the surface of Colony Kepler, 442b, General Jehoon was leading ground forces against Velkari invasion troops. The aliens had landed expecting to face humans with primitive weapons. Instead, they met soldiers in powered armor carrying energy rifles. "Advance by squads," Ji-hoon ordered his troops. "Remember your training." The human soldiers moved like ghosts. Through the colony streets, their armor was nearly invisible to alien sensors. Their weapons fired bursts of plasma that could melt through Velkari battlesuits. "Sir, the aliens are retreating to their landing zone," reported Captain Seo-jun. "Good. Cut off their escape route. I want their ships disabled." The battle for Kepler 422b became the first major ground victory for humanity. In 18 hours, General Ji-hoon's forces had driven off an invasion force that outnumbered them 3-1. But the real shock came when news of human resistance spread across the galaxy. On conquered worlds throughout Velkari space, other species began to hear impossible stories. Na-young was a member of the Zalari people, one of the first species conquered by the Velkari 1,000 years ago. She worked in the underground resistance, helping other conquered peoples plan for freedom. "Is it true?" asked her friend Kyung-min, who belonged to another enslaved species. "Are the humans really fighting back?" "The reports are coming from multiple sources," Na-young said, hardly believing it herself. "They say human ships are defeating Velkari squadrons. Some of our spies in the Imperial fleet confirm the battles. For 1,000 years, the Velkari had seemed invincible. No species had ever successfully resisted their conquest. But now, for the first time, someone was fighting back and winning." Admiral Ji-won watched the battle reports from Terra Guardian. Human forces were winning on every front, but she knew this was just the beginning. "How are our casualties?" she asked Captain Minji. "Light, Admiral. We've lost 3 fighters and 1 corvette. The Velkari have lost 47 ships." Ji-won nodded with satisfaction. The aliens were learning that underestimating humans was a deadly mistake. Dr. Yunbi's research was proving crucial to human success. Her analysis of Velkari shield frequencies allowed human weapons to punch through alien defenses with ease. "Their shields are designed to stop weapons using their own technology," she explained to Admiral Ji-won. "They never prepared for attacks using different energy patterns." "How long before they adapt?" Ji-won asked. "It will take them weeks to modify their entire fleet. By then, we'll have other surprises ready." The Velkari were indeed trying to adapt. Their engineers worked frantically to understand human technology, but they had grown lazy after centuries of easy conquest. Their ships were designed for intimidation, not for fighting equal opponents. Commander So-young continued her information warfare from the hidden base on the moon's dark side. She had tapped into Velkari communications and was learning valuable intelligence. "The aliens are panicking," she reported. "Their commanders are demanding reinforcements. They're talking about deploying their second battle fleet." "How large is their second fleet?" asked Admiral Ji-won. 500 ships, Admiral. Much larger than what they sent to conquer us." Ji-won smiled grimly. "Then we'll need to be ready for them, too." Engineer Do-hyun was already working on that problem. In the hidden shipyards, construction crews were building more warships as fast as possible. "We can have 12 more vessels ready within a month," he told Dr. Ha-yoon. "But if the aliens bring 500 ships, we'll need something special." "I have an idea," Ha-yoon replied. "We've been working on a new type of weapon, something that can disable multiple enemy ships at once." The Velkari fleet regrouped after their first defeats. Ambassador Velkanos was furious. He had expected to conquer humanity in a few days. Instead, his forces were being humiliated by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science officers. "Our intelligence said they had no advanced weapons." "Sir, it appears our intelligence was wrong. The humans have technology we've never seen before." Velkanos studied the battle recordings. Human ships moved in ways that defied his understanding of physics. Their weapons cut through Velkari armor like it was thin metal. Their shields absorbed punishment that should have destroyed them. "Contact the High Command," he ordered. "Tell them we need the Second Fleet immediately." On Earth, President Kyung addressed the world. People were watching the space battles on their screens, hardly believing that humanity was winning. "My fellow humans," Kyung said, "today we face our greatest challenge, but we also show our greatest strength. For 50 years we have prepared for this moment. Our scientists, our engineers, our military forces, all have worked in secret to defend our freedom." He paused, looking proud and determined. The aliens thought we were weak because they saw only what we wanted them to see. They judged us by our peaceful exploration ships and our quiet colonies. They never imagined that humans could build weapons to match their own. The president's speech was broadcast across human space. On every colony world, people felt a surge of pride and hope. They were not victims. They were warriors fighting for their freedom. Captain Wu Jin led a fighter attack on a Velkari supply convoy. His squadron struck fast and hard, destroying alien cargo ships carrying weapons and supplies. "This is Hawk Leader," he radioed to his pilots. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species the Velkari have enslaved." The human fighters scattered the convoy in minutes. It was becoming clear that Velkari ships were not designed to fight opponents who could shoot back effectively. Back on Terra Guardian, Admiral Jiwan received a priority message from Deep Space Scouts. Commander Hana was leading reconnaissance missions to gather intelligence on Velkari reinforcements. "Admiral, we've detected a massive fleet approaching from Velkari core space, 512 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts." "How long until they arrive?" Jiwan asked. 72 hours at their current speed." Jiwan looked at the tactical display. The second Velkari fleet was enormous, much larger than anything humanity had faced before, but she had expected this. "Signal all human forces," she ordered. "Prepare for Operation Prometheus. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do." Operation Prometheus was humanity's master plan, developed over decades of preparation. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack, human forces would strike first at targets across Velkari space. "All ship commanders, this is Admiral Jiwan. In 72 hours, we launch our counterattack. We're not just defending our worlds anymore. We're going to liberate every species the Velkari have enslaved." Dr. Sang-hyun activated the quantum communication network that would coordinate human forces across hundreds of light years. The technology was based on discoveries from the ancient alien ruins, and it gave humans an advantage the Velkari couldn't match. "All stations report ready," Sang-hyun told the Admiral. "We can coordinate attacks across 12 star systems simultaneously." As the second Velkari fleet approached human space, they expected to find a broken enemy ready to surrender. Instead, they would find that humanity was just getting started. The real war was about to begin, and the galaxy would learn that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. War Marshal Theron commanded the second Velkari fleet from his massive flagship, the Empire's Wrath. He was the most experienced military leader in Velkari space, with victories over dozens of species. The defeat of the First Fleet had shocked him, but he was confident that overwhelming force would crush human resistance. 500 ships should be more than enough, he told his officers. No primitive species can stand against the full might of the Empire. Theron had studied the battle reports from the First Fleet. The humans had better technology than expected, but numbers would win the day. His fleet included 3 dreadnoughts, each one capable of destroying a planet's surface. But Admiral Jiwan had no intention of letting the aliens reach human space. As the second fleet traveled toward Earth, humanity launched Operation Prometheus, the largest military offensive in human history. Captain Seojun commanded the battleship Defiant as it emerged from faster-than-light travel near a Velkari military base. His mission was to destroy the communications hub that coordinated alien fleets across this sector of space. "Weapons free," Seojun ordered. "Target the communication towers." The Defiant's main guns fired streams of antimatter that turned the alien base into expanding clouds of plasma. In seconds, the Velkari lost contact with dozens of fleets across their empire. At the same time, Captain Hana led the cruiser Vengeance in an attack on Velkari supply depots. Her ship's stealth systems kept it invisible until the last moment. "Firing torpedoes," reported her weapons officer. The quantum torpedoes phased through space and materialized inside the alien supply ships. The explosions were so bright they could be seen from orbit. Commander Wu Jin struck at a Velkari shipyard where they built their warships. His squadron of fighters darted between the massive construction platforms, placing explosives with surgical precision. "All charges set," he radioed to his pilots. "Clear the area." The shipyard exploded in a chain reaction that destroyed half-completed warships worth millions of alien credits. It would take the Valkyrie years to rebuild what humans destroyed in minutes. Engineer Johann had activated humanity's secret weapon, a network of quantum communication relays hidden throughout Valkyrie space. Human explorers had been placing them, for decades disguised as space debris. All strike teams, this is command. Admiral Jiwan's voice reached across the galaxy instantly. Execute Phase 2 of Prometheus. The coordinated attack was unlike anything the Valkyrie had ever faced. 12 star systems came under assault simultaneously. Human forces struck with perfect timing, hitting military bases, supply lines, and communication centers. Captain Jisoo led the most daring mission of all. Her ship, the Shadow Strike, infiltrated the heavily defended Valkyrie command center at Nexus Prime. Her goal was to capture vital intelligence about alien military structure. "Remember, we need their computers intact," she told her boarding party. As they prepared to assault the command station, the human Marines wore powered armor that made them nearly invulnerable to Valkyrie weapons. They moved through the alien base like unstoppable machines, capturing data cores and prisoners. "We've got their strategic database," reported Marine Sergeant Taman. "This contains information about every Valkyrie fleet and base in this part of the galaxy." The intelligence was staggering. The supposedly invincible Valkyrie Empire was fighting rebellions on 17 different fronts. Dozens of conquered species were rising up against their oppressors. The Empire was far weaker than anyone had realized. "Send this to all resistance. Groups," Admiral Jiwan ordered after reviewing the data. "Let them know where to strike for maximum effect." War Marshal Theron was beginning to understand that he faced more than just human resistance. Reports flooded in from across the Empire of coordinated attacks, destroyed bases, and severed communication lines. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his intelligence officers. "How can they coordinate attacks across hundreds of light years?" "We don't know, sir. Their technology appears to include some form of instantaneous communication." Theron studied the tactical displays with growing alarm. Human forces were not just defending their territory. They were actively destroying Valkyrie military power across multiple sectors. "Sir," called his communications officer, "we're receiving reports of rebellion on 14 conquered worlds. The local species are rising against our occupation forces." This was what Theron feared most. The Valkyrie Empire ruled through fear and overwhelming force. If conquered species believed the Empire could be defeated, the entire structure would collapse. On the conquered world of Kepler 186F, the local Zalari people were indeed rising up. Na-Young led a group of rebels who had been inspired by human resistance. "The humans have shown us that the Valkyrie can be beaten," she told her fighters. "Now is our chance for freedom." The Zalari had been slaves for 1,000 years, but they had never forgotten how to fight. Armed with captured Valkyrie weapons, they struck at the alien garrison in their capital city. Similar rebellions were breaking out across the Empire. The conquered species had always hated their oppressors, but they had never believed victory was possible. Now, seeing humans defeat Valkyrie fleets, they found the courage to fight. Dr. Bora was working with physicist Sang Hyun on humanity's next surprise. For the Valkyrie, Project Ascension was even more ambitious than the warships of Project Defiance. "The theoretical framework is sound," Bora explained to Admiral Jiwon. "We can create a field that selectively disables all technology within a certain area while leaving organic life unharmed." "How large an area?" Jiwon asked. "Planetary scale. We could shut down every Valkyrie ship, weapon, and communication device on an entire world without harming a single person. It was revolutionary technology that could end the war without massive casualties. But it would take time to build and deploy." "How long?" Jiwon asked. 6 weeks minimum," Sang-hyun replied, "assuming we can get the resources we need." Meanwhile, the second Valkyrie fleet was approaching human space. War Marshal Theron had lost contact with most of his empire, but he was determined to crush humanity and restore Valkyrie dominance. "Prepare for full assault," he ordered his fleet commanders. "Destroy every human world, leave nothing standing." But as his ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, they found human forces waiting for them. Admiral Jiwon had positioned her entire fleet in a defensive formation around Earth. "This is Admiral Jiwon to the Valkyrie fleet. You are outnumbered. and outgunned. Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to the laws of war. War Marshal Theron laughed at the human message. His 500 ships faced less than 50 human vessels. The odds seemed impossible. Humans, you are brave but foolish. My fleet will turn your worlds to ash. Your fleet is about to learn what happens when you threaten human civilians, Ji-Wan replied. The Battle of Seoul began with the largest exchange of fire in galactic history. 500 Velkhari ships opened up with everything they had. Plasma bolts and antimatter missiles filled space between Earth and Mars. The human fleet activated their shields and began their response. But this time, they had more than just superior technology. They had allies. Ships from 12 different species emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. Zilari cruisers, Mantari destroyers, and vessels from other conquered worlds had joined the human fleet. What? War Marshal Theron stared at his sensors in disbelief. How are there so many ships? Sir, we're receiving identification codes from species throughout the Empire. They're all flying human battle flags. For the first time in galactic history, conquered species were fighting alongside their liberators. The rebellion that had started with human resistance was spreading across the galaxy. Fleet Admiral Chanwu commanded the largest human battleship, the Terra's Pride. His ship led the charge against the Velkhari dreadnoughts. All ships concentrate. Fire on their flagship. Let's show them what coordinated tactics can do. 50 human ships and their alien allies focused their fire on the Empire's wrath. War Marshal Theron's shields collapsed under the combined assault, and his flagship began to break apart. Impossible, he whispered, as his command center exploded around him. Captain Yunji piloted the experimental ship Quantum Phoenix through the heart of the battle. Her vessel could phase between dimensions, appearing and disappearing at will, materializing. Behind enemy formation, she reported as her ship appeared inside the Velkhari fleet, firing antimatter charges. The Phoenix struck 3 Velkhari ships before phasing out of normal space again. The aliens had no defense against attacks that came from impossible angles. Navigation Officer Taman coordinated the Phoenix's movements with split-second precision. Next phase point calculated. We can hit their ammunition ship. Do it, Yunji ordered. The Quantum Phoenix reappeared inside a Velkhari supply vessel. The explosion took out 6 enemy ships in a chain reaction that lit up the solar system. As the battle raged, more and more conquered species joined the fight. Ships arrived from across the galaxy, their crews eager to strike back at their oppressors. The mighty Velkhari Empire, which had ruled through fear for 3,000 years, was discovering that fear was a fragile foundation for power. Once broken, it could never be repaired. War Marshal Theron's fleet was being destroyed ship by ship. The human technology was devastating, but what truly broke Velkhari morale was seeing their former slaves fighting. Supreme Overlord Kazeth sat on his crystal throne in the capital city of Velkhari Prime, watching his empire crumble. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy, fleets destroyed, colonies in rebellion, and communication networks severed. The humans had done the impossible. How many systems have we lost? He asked his trembling advisors. 47 star systems are in open revolt, Supreme One. The human resistance has spread to species we conquered centuries ago. Kazeth had ruled the Velkhari Empire for 600 years. He had seen other species try to resist and watched them all fall to superior Velkhari power. But humans were different. They fought with technology that seemed almost magical. Activate the ancient protocols, he commanded. Deploy the world killers. His advisors looked horrified. The ancient protocols had not been used for 1,000 years. They were weapons from the early days of the Empire, designed to destroy entire planets as examples to other species. Supreme One, the Galactic Council banned planet killer weapons centuries ago. The Galactic Council exists at our pleasure, Kazeth snarled. If we cannot rule the galaxy, we will burn it to ash, starting with Earth. Deep in the vaults beneath Velkhari Prime, ancient weapons were awakened. Massive ships that had slept for millennia began to power up their devastating weapons. Each one could crack a planet's crust and boil away its atmosphere. But humanity had spies everywhere now. Commander. So-Young intercepted the activation codes from her hidden base. Admiral, we have a problem, she reported to Ji-Wan. The Velkhari are activating planet-killer weapons. 3 ships are heading for Earth, 2 more for our colony worlds. Admiral Jiwon felt cold fear grip her heart. Humanity's ships were powerful, but planet killers were in a different category entirely. They were designed to destroy worlds, not fight other ships. How long until they reach Earth? She asked. 18 hours at their current speed. Jiwon turned to Dr. Hyun. Is Project Ascension ready? We need at least another week to complete the tests, Hyun replied. But we do have 3 prototypes, so... Devices ready for field testing. That will have to be enough. Deploy them immediately. Project Ascension was humanity's most ambitious creation. Instead of destroying worlds like the Valkyrie weapons, it could selectively disable all technology on a planet while leaving every living thing unharmed. Dr. Bora and physicist Sang Yun had worked around the clock to complete the prototypes. The devices used quantum field manipulation to disrupt the electrical systems that powered all advanced technology. The field generators are ready, Bora reported, but we've never tested them against planet-killer weapons before. We're about to find out if they work, Admiral Jiwon said grimly. Fleet Admiral Chanwoo took command of humanity's Grand Fleet for the most important battle in galactic history. Over 1,000 ships gathered in Earth's solar system, human warships, allied vessels from conquered species, and even some Valkyrie ships whose crews had joined the rebellion. This is it, he announced to all ship commanders. We stop them here, or we lose everything we've built. The planet-killer ships were massive, each one the size of a small moon. Their hulls were covered in armor that had withstood meteor impacts for centuries. Their weapons could tear continents apart. Captain Yunji prepared the Quantum Phoenix for the most dangerous mission of her career. Her ship was the only one that could get close enough to the planet killers to deploy the Ascension. Devices! We'll have one chance, she told her crew. If the quantum phase fails, we'll be vaporized instantly. Navigation Officer Taman calculated the approach vector with mathematical precision. Phasing in 3 dimensions simultaneously, it's never been attempted before. Then we'll be the first, Yunji replied with determination. The Valkyrie planet killers emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their weapons began charging immediately, building up enough energy to crack Earth's surface. All ships engage the escort fleet, Admiral Jiwon commanded. Clear a path for the Phoenix. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships and their allies threw themselves against the Valkyrie escorts, fighting desperately to protect their world. Commander Hyeri led her destroyer squadron in a suicide attack against the planet killer's shield generators. Her ships were tiny compared to the massive weapons, but they fought with the fury of people defending their home. This is Phoenix Squadron, she radioed as her ships dove into the enemy formation. For Earth! For freedom! Her destroyers unleashed everything they had against the planet killer's defenses. Plasma bolts and antimatter torpedoes crashed against armor that was a kilometer thick. We're not making a dent, reported her weapons officer. Then we'll make our own dent, Hyeri replied. All ships, ramming speed. Overload your fusion reactors. It was a desperate tactic, but it worked. Hyeri's squadron crashed into the planet killer's shield generators, their exploding reactors creating holes in the massive ship's defenses. Phoenix, you have a clear approach vector. Hyeri's final transmission reached Captain Yunji. Make it count. The Quantum Phoenix phased into another dimension and reappeared inside the planet killer's superstructure. Yunji's crew deployed the first Ascension device directly into the ship's power core. Device activated, reported Chief Engineer Min-jae. Quantum cascade beginning. The effect was immediate and devastating. Every piece of technology on the planet killer simply stopped working. Weapons powered down, shields collapsed, and life support systems failed. The massive ship became a lifeless hulk drifting through space. 1 down, 2 to go, Yunji said, as her ship phased out again. But the second planet killer had learned from the first attack. Its commander activated emergency protocols that sealed the ship's interior from dimensional intrusion. We can't phase inside, Taman reported. Their quantum barriers are blocking us. Then we go through the front door, Yunji decided. The Phoenix materialized directly in front of the planet killer's main weapon as it prepared to fire. For a moment, the tiny human ship faced down a gun barrel that could destroy planets. All power to forward shields, Yunji commanded. Let's see what this ship can really do, the planet killer fired. The beam that should have vaporized continents crashed against the Phoenix's shields and was absorbed by quantum field generators that had never been tested at full power. "Shields holding," reported the engineer with amazement. "The Ascension. Technology is protecting us." Yunji flew her ship directly into the weapon's firing chamber and deployed the second device. The planet killer's systems cascaded into failure just like the first one. But the third planet killer was already firing at Earth. The beam lanced down toward the planet's surface, carrying enough energy to boil away oceans. Dr. Sang-yun activated the planetary defense grid just in time. Ascension field generators on Earth's surface created a quantum barrier that absorbed the planet killer's attack completely. "Planetary shields holding," he reported. "The field is stable." Supreme Overlord Kazeth watched his ultimate weapons fail with growing desperation. The humans had technology that could neutralize planet killers, something the Velkari had thought impossible. "Deploy the entire ancient fleet," he ordered. "Every world killer we have." Supreme One, that would leave Velkari Prime defenseless. "If we cannot destroy the humans, our empire is finished anyway," but it was already too late. Admiral Jiwon had prepared for this moment. Human fleets were already moving toward Velkari Prime, supported by ships from every species the Empire had ever conquered. "This is Admiral Jiwon to Supreme Overlord Kazeth," she broadcast across the galaxy. "Your planet killers have failed. Your fleets are destroyed. Your empire is ending. Surrender now, and we will show mercy to your people." Kazeth's response was filled with rage. "Never! The Velkari will never bow to inferior species." "Then you leave us no choice," Jiwon replied sadly. The Liberation Fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading for the heart of the Velkari Empire. Behind them, Earth was safe, protected by quantum barriers that made it invulnerable to any weapon the aliens possessed. The final battle was about to begin, not just for victory, but for the future of every species in the galaxy. Captain Yunji prepared the Quantum Phoenix for one last mission. The ship that had saved Earth would now help liberate the galaxy. "Set course for Velkari Prime," she ordered. "It's time to end this war." As the Liberation Fleet approached the enemy capital, they carried with them the hopes of billions of people who had lived under Velkari oppression for thousands of years. The revolution that began with humanity's refusal to surrender was about to reach its climax. The galaxy would finally be free. The Liberation Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Velkari Prime system. Admiral Jiwon stood on the bridge of Terra Guardian, looking at the homeworld of the Empire that had tried to enslave humanity. Velkari Prime was a beautiful world covered in crystal cities that gleamed like jewels in the light of twin suns. For 3,000 years, it had been the center of the largest empire in galactic history. Today, it would see the end of that empire. "Fleet status report," Jiwon requested. 1,237 ships present, Admiral," Captain Minji replied. 73 species are represented in our force. It was the largest alliance in galactic history. Former enemies stood together, united by their shared desire for freedom from Velkari oppression. Supreme Overlord Kazeth had gathered the remaining Velkari fleets around his homeworld. 300 ships formed defensive rings around the planet, but their crews were demoralized and outnumbered. "This is Admiral Jiwon to Supreme Overlord Kazeth," she broadcast. "Your empire is finished. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with honor." Kazeth's reply came from his palace deep underground. "I would rather see the galaxy burn than bow to inferior species. Fight to the last ship." But many Velkari commanders were tired of war. Captain Zarok of the heavy cruiser Dominion was one of the first to break ranks. "This is Captain Zarok to the human fleet. I surrender my ship and crew. We want no more part in this senseless war." One by one, Velkari ships began switching sides. Their crews had seen too much destruction and wanted the killing to stop. "Admiral," Jiwon accepted each surrender with grace. "All Velkari personnel who lay down their arms will be protected under the laws of war. You have my word." But some ships still fought. The battle for Velkari Prime began as the hardest defenders opened fire on the Liberation Fleet. Fleet Admiral Chan Wu coordinated the assault from his flagship Terra's Pride. The human battle plan was carefully designed to minimize casualties. On both sides, "Target their weapons and engines only," he ordered his fleet commanders. "We're here to liberate, not to destroy." Captain Yunji took the Quantum Phoenix into the heart of the defensive formation. Her ship phased through space, appearing behind enemy vessels to disable their systems with precision strikes. Their central command ship is heavily shielded, reported Navigation Officer Taman. We'll need a coordinated attack to penetrate their defenses. Leave that to us, came a voice over the communication system. It was Commander Nayung, leading a squadron of Zalari ships that had joined the human fleet. The Zalari had been slaves for 1,000 years, but they had never forgotten how to fight. Their ships dove at the Velkari command vessel with desperate courage. "For all those who died in chains!" Nayung shouted as her fighters struck the enemy shields. Meanwhile, Dr. Bora was preparing the final deployment of Project Ascension. Instead of targeting individual ships, she planned to disable all Velkari technology on the planet's surface. "The planetary field generator is ready," she reported to Admiral Jiwan. "We can shut down every weapon, communication system, and defensive grid on Velkari Prime without harming a single person." "Do it," Jiwan ordered. The quantum field spread across Velkari Prime like an invisible wave. In seconds, every piece of advanced technology on the planet simply stopped working. The crystal cities went dark, weapons powered down, and communication networks fell silent. Supreme Overlord Kazeth found himself trapped in his own palace as the quantum field disabled even the basic lighting systems. For the first time in his 600-year life, he was powerless. "Supreme One," called one of his guards, "human soldiers are approaching the palace." Captain Yejin led the humanitarian mission to the planet's surface. Her troops carried medical supplies and food instead of weapons. Their job was to help, not to conquer. "Attention, people of Velkari Prime," she announced over portable speakers. "The war is over. We come in peace to provide aid and assistance." The Velkari civilians were shocked to see human soldiers distributing food and medicine. They had been told that humans were savage primitives who would enslave or kill them. "Why are you helping us?" asked a young Velkari child. "Because the war was never against your people," Yejin replied gently. "It was against those who would deny freedom to others." Ambassador Tae-hyun arrived on Velkari Prime to begin peace negotiations. He found a world in chaos, with millions of people confused and frightened by the collapse of their government. "The Velkari Empire is finished," he announced to the Planetary Council. "But the Velkari people have a future in the new galactic order we're building." The negotiations were difficult. Many Velkari leaders couldn't accept that their empire had fallen. But younger voices, led by reformers like Councillor Vecta, were ready for change. "The old ways brought us nothing but endless war," Vecta told the council. "Perhaps it's time to try something different." Admiral Jiwan met with representatives from all the liberated species to discuss the future. The meeting took place aboard Terra Guardian, with delegates from 73 different worlds. "The Velkari Empire ruled through fear and oppression," she said. "We propose something better, the Galactic Cooperation Accord, where all species are equal partners." The idea was revolutionary. Instead of one empire ruling others, every world would maintain its independence while working together for mutual defense and exploration. Nayung, now representing the liberated Zelari people, was enthusiastic. "For 1,000 years, we dreamed of freedom. Now we can dream of something even greater, true cooperation between species." The former Velkari territories were reorganized into independent governments. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were finally free to rule themselves. Dong-yun, now head of the new diplomatic corps, worked tirelessly to help these new governments establish themselves. His team provided aid, expertise, and support to worlds that were learning democracy for the first time. "Every species has something unique to contribute," he explained to a gathering of new planetary leaders. "The galaxy is stronger when we work together." Dr. Hayun's research teams began sharing human technology with other species. The quantum field generators that had won the war were now used to provide clean energy to recovering worlds. "Technology should serve all people, not just those who discover it," she said as she demonstrated the new power systems to alien engineers. The Velkari themselves were not forgotten. Captain Yejin continued her humanitarian work, helping former Empire worlds transition to peaceful civilian government. "Many Velkari were just following orders," she reported to Admiral Jiwan. "They're good people who were trapped in a bad system. Some Former Velkari military officers like Captain Zarok joined the new Galactic Defense Alliance. Their experience and knowledge were valuable in protecting the galaxy from other threats. "I spent my career conquering worlds for the Empire," Zarok said as he took his oath to the new alliance. "Now I want to spend the rest of my life protecting them." Fleet Admiral Chanwu established the Alliance's military headquarters on a neutral space station at the center of the galaxy. Ships from dozens of species worked together, training and preparing for whatever challenges might come from other galaxy arms. "We've learned that the galaxy is vast and dangerous," he told the first graduating class of Alliance officers. "Only by working together can we protect what we've built." The transformation wasn't easy. Some species struggled with the concept of equality after centuries of oppression. Others found it hard to trust former enemies. But gradually, the new order took shape. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Scientific discoveries were shared openly. Former slaves and conquerors worked side by side to build a better future. President Kyung, now elderly but still sharp, attended the first Galactic Assembly on the neutral station. Representatives from every member world came together to make decisions that affected billions of people. "When the Velkari demanded our surrender," he said in his opening address, "they thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would submit without a fight. They couldn't have been more wrong." He paused, looking out at the diverse assembly of species. "But our greatest victory wasn't military. It was showing the galaxy that strength comes not from dominating others, but from lifting them up." 10 years. After the war ended, Admiral Jiwon, now elderly but still commanding, stood once again on the bridge of Terra Guardian. But this time, she was preparing for a different kind of mission. Captain Minji, now an admiral herself, was leading the first joint species expedition beyond their galaxy arm. The fleet included ships and crews from 20 different worlds, working together to explore the unknown. "Ready for departure, Admiral," Minji reported. Jiwon smiled. "Take us beyond the edge of known space, Admiral. Let's see what wonders are waiting for us." As the exploration fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of a galaxy that had learned to work together. Earth, once threatened with slavery, was now the diplomatic center of a thriving galactic community. The Velkari, humbled but not destroyed, contributed their vast knowledge of galactic history and their administrative expertise to the new alliance. Former enemies had become partners in building something greater than any empire. In the Crystal Cities, of Velkari Prime, now rebuilt with clean quantum energy, children of different species played together.